Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Gonzii and today we're going to be reacting to another game theory video called Why Do You Hate My Theories? So yeah, let's go and check this out, man. See what it's about. Let's go. Come on, Matt.
Hello Internet, welcome to Game Theory.
Love the boy,
today,
man.
we're going to be doing what we do on a lot of these days, talking about FNAF.
Let's go.
A little mix up today, we're doing it on the couch. And let me tell you, have I got a theory for you. It is a theory that you are absolutely guaranteed to hate.
Wow.
Your pitchforks ready, my friends. I am prepared
Let's go.
to be dragged all across Twitter and Reddit for this one. But then again, honestly, that's kind of to be expected at this point.
It is.
That's largely been the response to a lot of our FNAF theories lately. Any theory that I release at this point starts with this massive wave of comments like, Matt's theorizing has gone downhill at this point. His latest FNAF theories are lazy, proper research is not being done. He's clearly running out of material.
Damn.
I'm genuinely wondering if he's even passionate about this franchise anymore.
It's not that
a
deep.
difference between telling theories and straight up telling misinformation.
Wow.
Harsh, right?
Really
In fact,
harsh.
I don't know if you've noticed this, but pretty much every script that we do at this point, especially about this franchise, always comes packaged with some sort of predetermined disclaimer right at the top. Cue the clip. Fair warning though, the conclusions we've reached that solve security breach, whew, they are controversial. I feel
Yeah,
good.
he always does
I
that,
think
recently
that
as
we've
well.
locked in
Well,
a
I'm
lot
sorry
of
I
answers
fixed my
here,
trim
but,
liquid,
cool,
but
they're
yeah,
gonna raise
trim's
a
a bit
lot of discussion.
stale right
Let's
now,
just
but
say
yeah.
that you're either gonna love that episode or hate it. I don't really think there's gonna be much in between on that one. And while we'll certainly get to my problems here in a minute, let me just say, I seem to be in good company. It's not just me getting these sorts of responses. A lot of FNAF theorists are receiving the same sort of constructive criticism online. John from the channel FNAF, he has regularly told that, quote, his recent theories are horrible. Yes, I went to a printer and actually printed that out so I could read it. John lied about the contents of the most recent story. And, here's another one, I don't want to be rude, but the mimic and baby theory sucks. I don't want to be rude.
Damn.
Well, you might want to look up the...
I don't want to be rude while being rude.
And it's
Come
not
on,
just me and John
grow
either.
up.
Rytoast, another FNAF theorist, also
Great
involved in
content
this one.
creator. Great, he's
he
awesome.
was told that his theories massively whiff. I mean, honestly, the list could go on and on here. The feedback is endless, but the TLDR of all of this is that I went down the line of FNAF theorists and I just kept seeing the same thing over and over again. It's not just my theories that are getting all this hate, it's all theories.
Why?
It's weird.
That's very weird.
I figure that we should probably do a theory about that.
Let's go.
Because I think I know why this is happening, and honestly, just like the FNAF lore, it's pretty darn complicated. But
is.
at this rate, if we don't actually stop to take the time and address it, I worry that it could actually end up harming this community and the whole FNAF franchise as a whole.
That's a good point.
First off, I think it's important that we set some context here. Every FNAF theory that we release at this point is met with the internet largely dismissing it as insane or jumping the animatronic Felix the Shark, such as, Cassie Dad is Bonnie Bro. It is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, says one commenter. Great. I mean, I also said that Deadpool is Ernest Hemingway. I'd say that one was dumber, but sure, go for it. Maybe you missed that one. Daycare attendant's endoskeleton teeth match the mimic. This one right here says, it is dumb, 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 dumb.
It isn't. It really... Put the pictures side by side. It matches.
And this one here is a classic. Gregory's a robot. This theory is literal cancer.
Hey, yo.
No, my friend. No, it's not. It is not a literal cancer. And if me suggesting that a fictional character in a YA murder bunny game is a robot is that bad to you, go touch grass. Anyway, you get the point. There is a varying
touch grass, bro. It's not that deep. It's people having fun with the game and a franchise.
When I suggested Dream Theory as the explanation for the first wave of games back in 2015, people were so mad. They hated it. Because honestly, I was dismissing 4 games of story and beloved characters with the whole, oh, it was all just a dream trope.
Yep.
Honestly, I didn't love it either, but it
was
like
true.
The evidence was largely pointing at the time.
And it was true.
And yet, it's only now, all these years later, that the sentiment has finally changed on that theory, and people largely agree that Dream Theory was right at the time, and that Scott just pivoted the story later with Sister
He did.
Or
he did.
At least it was right until then this new Tales of the Pizzaplex book is coming out, and apparently it rewrites FNAF 4 into some hallucinogenic gas creation. Thanks for that one, Scott. Couldn't even let me have that victory, could ya? What do you want from me, Scott? I'm selling the books for ya.
That jacket is sick, by the way.
By the way, it also happened with those books. I started using the books 7 years ago. I've been reading these things for 7 years. This is my literary contribution. 7 years of this book. I could be reading like War and Peace or Uncle Tom's Cabin or something, but no, I get to read Tales from the Pizzaplex 1 Lally's Game. Great. This is how I enrich myself. To my knowledge, I was one of the first, if not the first person, to seriously use the books for overall theorizing. Let me tell you, people hated it at the time.
They did.
They despised it. They're like,
They
why
still
would you
do.
do that? Why would you talk about the books? But those theories actually helped me predict that William Afton was going to be the villain, that Charlie was going to be revealed to be the puppet, that Sister Location was buried under the Afton house, and that Michael Afton was the Foxy Bro. And that's just a few of the conclusions they helped me reach. And now, here we are, a whopping 7 years later. I've got a couple of gray hairs, and the pendulum has swung completely in the other direction. Now, the community holds me and all the other FNAF theorists hostage if we're not looking at the books, or if we're looking at them improperly and not treating them as 100% canon to the events of the game.
True, that's
Long
facts.
story short, time is a powerful thing, and in this franchise especially, it is super powerful, considering that Scott repeatedly has said that he uses both the games and books in the future to clarify the events of the past. Or, you know, that's just his
Also
shorthand way
facts.
of saying that he uses those future things to just ultimately pick the direction that he wanted to go the entire time. The long and short of it is that sometimes the craziest theories in the moment become the correct theories a year or 2 years or even 5 years down the line as more details solidify around the story. For a great example of this, let's just take a look at everyone's favorite Gregory as a robot theory, where I propose that Gregory is indeed the robotic reincarnation of the crying child. When I look online, this is often the one that people point to as the point where Matpat fell off, where he literally lost the thread of the games, and to this day, it has entered the hallowed pantheon of theories that get memed to death, right alongside Luigi's eggplant height, weight, his girth, Luigi's girth.
Hey,
It's
yo.
a girthy boy! And of course, the Lord above all, Sans' Nest, the king that rules them all, right? And more often than not, that robot theory gets boiled down to this singular graphic right here. So much so that we actually started to meme on it ourselves. And you know, when it gets to us memeing something, it is definitely dead. We are so cringe that we make your dad's jokes look cool. But here's the thing, Gregory as a robot is now a theory that has spawned over 4 other theories and constitutes over 15,000 words. And so dismiss it as purely white kid in striped shirt go brrrr. Isn't that you just falling into the same trap that you, the internet accusers, have leveled at me? You say that I ignore evidence, that I don't do my research, that I ignore key details.
Oh, he's
that
cooking.
forward my intended
Cook him.
narrative. But
Cook them.
isn't that exactly what you're doing there?
It is.
I mean, look at the facts. And for the sake of clarity and for the sake of your screenshots, I'll try to keep it all on a singular page since I know that you all love to boil my theories down to one image. So how else, my friends, would you explain that Gregory looks like the crying child, that he is colored in purple, which connects him to the Afton family, that he's taken a bite out of a golden Freddy head ice cream cone just like the crying child got bit, that he's being called broken, which parallels the final
True.
line said to the crying child, his vision getting all staticky when Vanny skips past him in the Pizzaplex,
Oh, he's
and him looking
cooking.
differently when Freddy gets
Cooking.
Roxy's eyes. I don't know about you, but that right there, that seems to me like a lot of important evidence. So who's really ignoring evidence to forward their intended narrative here? Me, the person trying to concoct a theory to explain all of those details, or anyone online who continues to insist that Gregory, you know, he's just a normal kid. And just like with
He's not
the
normal,
Gregory
that's
book
for damn
theory,
sure.
more evidence for this has just started to stack up. Since the release of Security Breach, the Tales from the Pizzaplex books, which many are now considering to be 100% canon to the games, these books have repeatedly included over and over again story after story of kids either becoming robots, always being robots, or being taken over by robots. You don't even have to read the stories in the books to know this. I mean, just look at the theme of these covers, right? Robot humanoid kid, robot humanoid. This one doesn't count. Robot humanoid. Like, the last book in the series that's coming out, like, right now as this episode releases, it is literally about a kid who turned himself into a robot. Yeah, look at it. It's got human fingers and everything. Another one of those stories, this time GGY, it focuses on a boy named Gregory, sounds familiar, who sets high scores in the Pizzaplex, again, should sound familiar. He disappears multiple school counselors, similar, and he goes by the name Dr. Rabbit. This story right here is basically shouting in our faces the fact that Gregory is patient 46.
True.
Confirming that, regardless of how you feel about Gregory as a protagonist, he's a bad dude. He is killing people.
He's bad, bro.
He's making them disappear to protect whatever secret he has. Something that, again, we predicted as part of that Robot Gregory series, and something that people at the time really didn't like. Plus, you can't ignore the fact that he's calling himself Dr. Rabbit, which again is yet another connection over to the Afton family. And while it doesn't ever explicitly say that Gregory is a robot, it does write him with some very oddly robotic characteristics. Quote from here, "Greg returned the wave. He smiled. Then he cocked his head and studied Tony for several seconds." It's weird, right? It's written in a very specific way. It's not detailed that signaled my theorist senses, and honestly, it feels to me like he's written like an AI, stopping to learn, study human.
He smiled, pause. Then, yeah.
And that's sort
yeah,
of
that makes a lot of sense, man.
Returns when we go back to Security Breach. Here, I'd like to direct your attention to the wall code from the secret sister location room found near the end of that game. Very quickly, the FNAF community figured out that this chunk of wall code right there read as follows: dodge, duck, flash, shoot, crawl, run, crush the vile band. Who is the only character to do all of those actions?
Gregory, yep.
He's flashing Faz
True.
cams, he's shooting Faz lasers, he is literally crushing the band. So this room, an Afton room, mind you, is in some ways trying to speak to Gregory. But why would it be written in such a weird language? Well, honestly, we had no way of knowing it at the time. It wasn't until a year later, when this book finally came out again, this is the same one with GGY, but this time it had a tale called The Storyteller. This one is a tale all about a genius roboticist who speaks to his AI creations in a very specific way. Quote again from this book, "Every sheet of paper was covered with odd stick drawings and strange symbols that were not at all familiar to Mr. Burroughs. Squiggles, squares, loops, triangles within triangles. The code is the language of the Mimic. The Mimic being an AI program designed to copy those it watched. All signs point to Gregory being a robot built as part of this AI system." So throw that one over there onto that one-pager screen grab from earlier.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and don't forget the fact that we also discovered that Robot Kid heads
Yes!
down in the sister location bunker.
Like, come on,
showing
man.
that Afton was working on Robot Kid projects way sooner than any of us ever
Yep,
expected.
true.
That should actually be on there too. And overall, you look at that one screen grab, it's pretty crowded in there, right? And even if Gregory isn't a robot, it feels pretty darn clear that someone in this franchise probably is at this point. Here's the thing, I'm not bringing all this up to try and convince you, the internet critics out there of this theory. There are some dead horses that I just want to leave alone, believe it or not. And honestly,
I believe you,
don't
man.
care if you believe this theory or not. I do not care in the
Nor
slightest.
should
I
you,
have
lads.
no horse in this race.
Yep.
Though apparently
Nor
I have a
should
lot
you.
of horse analogies to make, which is weird. I am here having fun in my little corner of the internet trying to solve silly video game mysteries with a cool team around me and
True.
an awesome community of theorists. I would love you internet critics to join us. That would be awesome. We are an open-minded community. We are welcoming. We embrace you with open arms in the most fan-friendly way possible, but not in a way that's going to get us canceled. But for the
Facts.
people over on Reddit and Twitter who accuse me and all the other theorists of ignoring important information for the sake of forwarding our own version of a narrative just because we don't care about this franchise, ask yourself honestly, who's really the closed-minded ones here? We're the ones pointing out this information. We're the ones who are trying to solve what all this means. To ignore it, that actually feels disrespectful to the franchise. While
does.
we're being honest about all this, let's also be honest about our standards for clue hunting. I have been raked over the coals a lot across recent theories for making visual connections between characters and objects. My last theory, great example of this. I drew parallels between the daycare attendant and the Mimic because both of them have very unique teeth, where each individual tooth is independently
Yeah,
operated.
the
It's a
same,
completely
bro.
unique design for an endoskeleton, only shared by those two characters. And yet a lot of people were quick to dismiss the entire idea as just surface level.
Yep.
Oh, it's only a coincidence.
Yeah,
But
sure.
do you remember what franchise we're talking about here, friends? We started with counting animatronic toes and
It's
buttons.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
But the
Nothing is a
reason that I bring
coincidence,
that up
man.
Is that while many dismissed that specific connection, I saw those exact same conversations happening around the Mimic's hand with its clawed fingers. Oh my gosh, clawed fingers, just like Burn Trap or the Glamrock's hands. You do realize that you're doing the exact same thing that you were criticizing me for, right? I mean,
Bro,
if
he's
you're allowed to
cooking
compare
you, man.
sharp, pointy hands,
Come on.
I can compare independently moving teeth, right? In the end, well, things have certainly gotten more sophisticated in the theorizing space, and we have higher standards for our evidence, and we should always be looking for more evidence to support any of our
True.
conclusions. Simple observations, like fingers or teeth, they're easy ones to build off of. They're easy ones to start exploring, and hey, where they lead to can be some really awesome, cool directions. We as humans are pre-programmed to seek closure in whatever we're doing, and it makes us feel secure and brings a sense of satisfaction, of closure, right? There's actually an entire brand of psychology dedicated to this very fact. So naturally, when we're faced with a series that doesn't give us any sort of clean or definitive answers, it's easy for us to want to find the simplest solution or cling on to certain details like they're indisputable facts because it's better to be wrong than to be uncertain. And FNAF makes that hard because it's a story that's built on shifting sand. It went from souls possessing animatronics to liquid soul metal to digital consciousness transfer and then to goo that literally tries to steal your identity. It's just a different, less literal interpretation than one that many of you
That's a fair point, man.
and it's one
It is.
that honestly is more in
He's
line with
spitting.
statements
He's
that
spitting,
Scott
bro.
has made in the past.
Matpat is spitting.
Books. Though, can we all be honest with ourselves here? That line was cut from all the marketing. It's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. You have to dig up like historical websites to find it. It's now been replaced with this line that is published across all the books. Scott Cawthon spins 3 sinister novella-length tales from uncharted corners of this series as canon. And again, that right there, that is even more vague and non-specific, because look, we're talking about areas that are uncharted, never explored before.
Never
Which
explored
honestly,
before, yeah.
even if you're choosing to read that line with a literal interpretation, feels like it's even more support for them not being 100% canon with the games, since we have charted a lot of the topics that you see in some of these stories, like the Gregory story. Great example. We know how he acts in the game. It is slightly different than how he acts in the books. It's not one for one. It cannot be literal. I'm just pointing it out. It is a difficult position to defend. And all of that is without me even pointing out the differences between the books and the games, like the fact that there isn't a giant baobab tree in the middle of the Pizzaplex, the fact that the Pizzaplex is not shaped like a giant pizza slice in the game, as it is in the books, the fact that there isn't a giant VR AR dome that's turning people into Fazgoo, and that there's no roller coaster that's running through the center of the restaurant. And those are just some of the differences that pop to the top of my head. I have seen people online picking and choosing certain stories to be canon and certain stories to not.
People do that, bro.
Again,
It's
isn't that just picking and choosing certain evidence pieces?
It is. Yeah, they are hypocrites, bro. It's what they are.
Those of you who are
They're
convinced
hypocrites,
that the books
man.
are canon are doing exactly the same thing that you criticize online theorists of. You have an answer that you're committed to, and so every theory is based on a core assumption. And if it's okay for you, then it has to be okay for us too.
Yep.
In the end, here's the important thing
Idiots.
to remember. We're all on the same team. We're all working.
But they don't think like
We are
that.
trying to solve this franchise
They don't think
together
like
as
that, bro.
completely as possible using the most satisfying evidence-based answers we can, because we all love this franchise.
Yes.
We all love a good
The
mystery.
franchise
We
is
all
sick,
want
bro.
answers. And the way that we get to those answers is by being open to all ideas.
Of course.
All ideas, no matter where or what personality type they're coming from. And even when we do get things right, it's okay. And it's also important to occasionally revisit those answers. Because guess what? This franchise changes. It evolves. It adds more lore and
And it's okay to be
places that
wrong
we
as well.
expect.
It's okay.
So when someone makes a big old swing, don't be quick to write them off. I mean, I suspected that Chica was a mediocre melody, just out of the blue, and that Mr. Hippo was at one point one of the core animatronic lineup. Both things that at the time seemed like pretty big swings back in the day, but both things that at this point actually have a lot of evidence to back
True.
them up. So sometimes those big risk theories actually yield some pretty big rewards. In the end, remember, it's easy to point at someone else's ideas and find the holes, but it's actually a lot harder to then offer up your own solutions.
Facts.
It takes guts to put yourself out there and concoct a theory, so be nice to other people's ideas, because that's the way we learn. That's the way we grow. We do it by asking questions and making mistakes. If every theory were perfect,
Straight
for
facts,
now,
bro.
well, let's be honest.
It'd be boring.
Be any mystery to
Yep,
this,
it'd be
right? The
boring.
games wouldn't be as fun. It would be kind of boring. And honestly, it wouldn't have spawned this incredible franchise that we have today. It also wouldn't have spawned this amazing merch. Like this Springtrap jacket, which and this,
Jesus.
okay, great.
Get the merch, man.
Thank you.
But yeah, man, Matpat was cooking, bro. Come on, man. I've seen the comments, bro. It's disgusting what they do to this man. This guy is the nicest bloke. Never says nothing bad about anyone. Always uses his platform to give opportunities for others to shine, like FNAF, like Ritos, like the big gatherings that they do on GT Lives. Bro, it's amazing. And Well, so what if he has the theory wrong here and there? If he says that Gregory is a robot? Bro, it's a game. It's not that deep, bro. You mania out there, they're outraged by theories about a video game. You need to touch grass, bro. You need to touch swampland, bro. Grass ain't even enough anymore. You need to go touch some swamp. Come on, man. Grow up, bro. But yeah, guys, before you go, don't forget how we do on the channel, bro. Come on, keep God first as always. Drink water, go tell somebody you love them. And if you're here, I know what to do, man. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. My name is Gonzii, and see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.